In the wake of Super Typhoon Ragasa's violent passage across the western Pacific, eastern Taiwan is reeling from one of its most devastating flood events in recent memory. On Tuesday afternoon, torrential rains unleashed by the typhoon caused the breach of a decades-old barrier lake in Hualien County, triggering a catastrophic flood that swept through multiple villages, trapping hundreds and leaving 2 people missing. At approximately 3 p.m. local time, the Matai'an River Dam, formed by a landslide decades ago, gave way under the relentless downpour brought by Ragasa. The breach sent millions of tons of water surging downstream, obliterating the Matian'an Bridge and inundating Guangfu Township's Daping Village, Dama Village, and the Fata'an Indigenous Tribe settlement. Deputy Chief Lee Lung-sheng of the Hualien County Fire Department described the scene as a sudden wall of water, with flood levels reaching the second floor of homes in some areas. About 263 people were trapped and moved to higher ground. They are not in immediate danger, but they are very worried about the high water, he told AFP. By 5 p.m., local authorities had logged 66 rescue cases. A total of 77 residents were confirmed trapped, and 2 individuals remained missing as of Tuesday evening. Viral videos circulating online showed residents clinging to rooftops and car tops, surrounded by swirling, mud-laden waters. Rescue teams from Taipei City, New Taipei City, and Taitung County were dispatched to assist, bringing lifeboats and emergency supplies. The Hualien County Fire Department issued an urgent advisory urging residents to seek vertical refuge and avoid low-lying areas. "We are prioritizing those trapped on the first floor," said a spokesperson. "The situation remains fluid, and we are doing everything we can to reach those in need." Super Typhoon Ragasa, locally known as Typhoon Nando, intensified rapidly over the Philippine Sea, reaching sustained wind speeds of 185 kilometers per hour and gusts up to 230 kilometers per hour. Though it did not make direct landfall in Taiwan, its outer bands drenched the island's eastern coast, particularly Hualien, with relentless rainfall. Meteorologists had warned of life-threatening flooding, landslides, and storm surges across northern Luzon and eastern Taiwan. In anticipation, nearly 300 residents were evacuated from Hualien County prior to the storm's arrival. The typhoon's trajectory took it northwest through the Luzon Strait, with southern China bracing for impact next. Authorities in Guangdong province have begun evacuating hundreds of thousands of residents, while Hong Kong airlines have canceled flights and waived rebooking fees. Experts say the Matai'an Barrier Lake, formed by a landslide decades ago, had long posed a latent risk. "These natural dams are inherently unstable," said Dr. Lin Weicheng, a hydrologist at National Taiwan University. When subjected to extreme rainfall events like Ragasa, the pressure builds rapidly and failure becomes inevitable. The breach underscores Taiwan's vulnerability to compound disasters, where typhoons trigger landslides, which in turn create unstable lakes that can burst under stress. "This is a textbook example of cascading hazards," Lin added. Among the hardest-hit areas was the Fata'an Tribe, an indigenous community with deep cultural ties to the Matai'an River. Tribal elder Awi Yukon described the flood as a spiritual rupture, noting that the river is considered sacred. "We've lost not just homes, but ancestral land," he said. Local schools have been converted into temporary shelters, and community leaders are coordinating food, water, and medical aid. "We are resilient," said Yukon, "but we need help to rebuild." President Tsai Ing-wen issued a statement expressing solidarity with affected communities and pledging swift aid. "We will mobilize all available resources to support Hualien," she said. The Ministry of Interior has activated its National Disaster Response Framework, deploying military units and emergency personnel. However, critics argue that the government has been slow to reinforce aging infrastructure in flood-prone regions. This disaster was predictable, said opposition lawmaker Chun Mei-ling. We've known about the risks posed by the Matai'an Barrier Lake for years. Taiwan experiences frequent typhoons between July and October, but Ragasa's intensity has raised alarms among climate scientists. This storm underwent explosive intensification, said Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka of the Pacific Climate Institute. Warmer ocean temperatures are fueling stronger cyclones. What we're seeing is the new normal. The Philippines, which bore the brunt of Ragasa's landfall, also reported widespread flooding, landslides, and infrastructure damage. Tens of thousands were evacuated, and protests erupted in Manila over alleged corruption in flood control projects. As waters begin to recede, the focus shifts to recovery. Engineers are assessing the structural integrity of remaining dams and bridges, while health officials warn of post-storm diseases and toxic debris. The legislature is expected to pass a multi-billion-dollar relief package in the coming days. For Hualien's residents, the road ahead is long. We've lost homes, memories, and livelihoods, said local teacher Mei Hua. But we haven't lost hope. A total of 371,644 people have been relocated across China's southern Guangdong province amid severe weather, according to state-run media. Chinese authorities issued dual red alerts Tuesday for storm surges and high waves as Super Typhoon Ragasa moved closer to South China's coast, Xinhua News reported. The typhoon entered the South China Sea late Monday and is expected to move northwest at a speed of about 20 kilometers per hour, 12 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall along the central or western coastal areas of the province within 24 hours. According to the Provincial Meteorological Observatory, the typhoon will land in the coastal areas from Zhuhai City to Hualien County on Wednesday, packing winds of 40 to 55 meters, 131 to 180 feet per second. Chinese authorities on Tuesday allocated nearly 60,000 items from Central Disaster Relief Supplies to Guangdong. The aid package comprises tents, folding beds, summer quilts, emergency lighting, and family emergency kits. China's National Marine Environmental Forecasting Center warned that coastal waters off Guangdong province will be hit by waves 4 to 7 m, 13 to 23 feet, high under a red wave warning, according to the Global Times report earlier today. The center also forecasted extremely rough to phenomenal seas of 8 to 13 m, 26 to 42 feet, in the northern part of the South China Sea, and 4 to 6 meters, 13 to 19 feet, in the southern Taiwan Straits and Bashi Channel. Coastal waters of southern Fujian, northern Fujian, southern Zhejiang, and eastern Hainan are under lower-level warnings. Authorities in Guangdong have suspended work, classes, transport, and business operations in 10 cities. Hong Kong and Macau on Tuesday afternoon issued number 8 tropical cyclone signal for Super Typhoon Ragasa, the third highest warning under their weather system. A total of 6 people were injured and 7,631 have been displaced in Taiwan due to the typhoon as the nationwide land warning was lifted Tuesday. Taiwan's Central Emergency Operations Center said, according to Focus Taiwan. The surge also destroyed the Matai'an Creek Bridge and flooded Taiwan Railway's Guangfu station, according to the Hualien County Fire Bureau. Separately, 1 person was killed, while 6 remain missing in the Philippines after a fishing boat capsized on Monday while seeking shelter amid strong waves triggered by the typhoon, according to the Philippine news agency. However, According to the Filipino media, Typhoon Ragasa is now closer to leaving the Philippines' area of responsibility and moving towards southern China. Meanwhile, the breach released a torrent of water that surged downstream, sweeping away the Matian'an Bridge and inundating the low-lying areas of Daping Village, Dama Village, and the Fata'an Indigenous Settlement. Eyewitnesses described the flood as instantaneous and overwhelming. Local resident Huang Mei-ling, whose home was submerged within minutes, said, "We heard a deep rumble, and then the water came like a monster. It swallowed everything." Within the first hour, floodwaters reached depths of up to 3 meters in some areas, submerging homes, vehicles, and farmland. Power outages followed as transformers were knocked out, and mobile networks became patchy, complicating rescue coordination. The Hualien County Fire Department immediately activated its disaster protocol, dispatching rescue teams equipped with inflatable boats, drones, and thermal imaging devices. "We are prioritizing life-saving operations," said Deputy Chief Lee Lung-sheng. "The terrain is difficult and water levels are still rising in some areas. We urge residents to remain calm and await rescue." Reinforcements arrived from neighboring counties, including Taipei and Taitung, while the Ministry of National Defense deployed military units to assist with logistics and evacuation. Temporary shelters were established in schools and community centers, with food, water, and medical supplies flown in by helicopter. While no fatalities were confirmed as of Tuesday evening, 2 individuals remained missing, and dozens sustained injuries ranging from hypothermia to fractures. Among the hardest-hit communities was the Fata'an Tribe, whose ancestral lands lie along the Matai'an River. Tribal elder Awi Yukon expressed deep sorrow over the loss. "This river is sacred to us. It is not just water. It is memory, spirit, and identity. The flood has torn through our history." Local schools have suspended classes, and agricultural losses are expected to be severe. Rice paddies, banana plantations, and fish farms were inundated, with early estimates suggesting tens of millions of new Taiwan dollars in damage. Although Super Typhoon Ragasa did not make direct landfall in Taiwan, its expansive rain bands saturated the island's eastern coast. Meteorological data from the Central Weather Bureau recorded over 400 millimeters of rainfall in Hualien within 24 hours, well above seasonal averages. "This was a classic case of peripheral typhoon impact," said Dr. Lin Wei-cheng, a hydrologist at National Taiwan University. "The terrain of eastern Taiwan funnels rain into narrow valleys, amplifying runoff and increasing the risk of dam failure." Ragasa's rapid intensification and erratic path have reignited debates over climate change's role in extreme weather. "Warmer oceans are fueling stronger storms," Lin added. "We must rethink our infrastructure in light of this new reality." The Matai'an River Dam, though not a conventional concrete structure, had long been flagged as a potential hazard. Formed by a landslide and later reinforced with earthen embankments, it lacked modern monitoring systems and structural integrity assessments. "This was a ticking time bomb," said opposition lawmaker Chun Mei-ling. "We've had reports warning of instability for years. Why wasn't action taken?" The Ministry of Interior acknowledged the dam's vulnerability but cited budget constraints and competing priorities. "We are reviewing all natural dam sites across Taiwan," said Minister Su Chi-wei. "This incident underscores the need for proactive risk management." As floodwaters begin to recede, the focus shifts to recovery. Engineers are assessing the structural integrity of remaining embankments, while health officials warn of waterborne diseases and contamination risks. The Environmental Protection Administration has dispatched teams to test soil and water samples for toxins and sewage overflow. President Tsai Ing-wen visited the affected area Wednesday morning, pledging swift aid and long-term support. "We will rebuild stronger and safer," she said. "The people of Hualien will not be left behind." The dam breach in Guangfu is a stark reminder of Taiwan's exposure to compound disasters, where natural hazards interact with human vulnerabilities to produce cascading effects. Experts are calling for a national audit of flood control systems, improved early warning mechanisms, and greater investment in indigenous-led environmental stewardship. "This is not just about engineering," said Dr. Tanaka Hiroshi of the Pacific Climate Institute. "It's about listening to communities, respecting nature, and preparing for a future where extremes are the norm." For the residents of Guangfu, the path forward is steep but not insurmountable. "We've lost much," said teacher Mei Hua, standing outside a damaged school. "But we still have each other, and that means we can begin again."
我的小金，
你的车还卡在那岩壁上面是？
没，在那边已经金色那个翘屁股那个，
哦，
走了，不见了，看不到了，翘屁股的，我的车。